Hey guys, Mike here. So another green day in the market, and there's questions out there, man, are we getting overstretched here? And I'll show you what I'm talking about with these metrics we're talking about. The other thing is I always tell you to do what? Watch out for when we're on the move up for bears capitulating, as well as, of course, when we're crashing down for bulls to capitulate. But in this case, it's the bears you're watching out for. And one of the biggest, I guess you could say it was a capitulation moment for him today. But we'll go into who that is as well as talking about some of the charts, because IWM's coming to a key resistance level. It's been brutal for it to get through, as well as what happened to Tesla today. And a group of stocks I'm going to show you, they're doing the exact same thing, and obviously getting big returns for it and stuff. So we'll go over those as well. I will start with this. I don't normally celebrate people going to jail, but when it comes to people who just basically swindle people out of money, yeah, I can deal with that. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know if you guys remember this guy. I mean, it's been forever, it seems like. But the Nikola founder, Trevor Milton, finally got sentenced to 4 years in jail. He's supposed to get 11. But, you got good attorneys. I'm sure he has about, 100 million sitting in a Cayman Islands account somewhere waiting for him. But I wish he was going to a prison where this right here would actually happen to him. I know this thing's brutal, but I think he deserves it.
It's going to be nasty for a first-timer like you, but we'll protect you. I'll protect you. All you got to do is take this pocket right here, and your life be all peaches and cream. I walk, you walk with me. And keep you real close so no one up in here can hurt you.
And for those who are obviously into Prison Break, I used to watch that show. You know who that is. That is Teabag, is the name of that character right there. And that was hilarious. But again, not that I wish bad things on people, but it's not like he's getting sent to Sing Sing or something. He'll go to some cush prison, I'm sure, where he'll get to read library books and everything and not have any problems like that. But and again, I'm sure he's got 100 million sitting in some kind of account somewhere in the Cayman Islands waiting for him. But good to see him finally at least go to prison. So it's the best we can get, right? Now, as far as bears capitulating, obviously you might have heard this right here. Mike Wilson came out, and this was dated December 18th, so today, and finally said, you know what, 2024 might not be so bad, right? Especially for small caps, things like that, the things that have been just beaten down and hadn't quite recovered and stuff. Because we all know he was, he called the top over there in 2022. Of course, wrote that down, was great. And as he said his own words, it's like he's been treated with leprosy this year because he kept saying, no, we're going down, we're going down. And so I think maybe he's finally come out and really just said, because of what the central bank's done now, that they're setting up for this soft landing, and of course gave the market permission basically to start just really going to the moon at this point in time to see what happens. They still don't see a great 2024, that's for sure, because of earnings. But again, for him, this is capitulation. Okay, so you can read that if you want to, but that's the kind of stuff you want to watch out for. Okay, now maybe what he's also seeing is the breadth in the market, right? And again, this is the NASDAQ 100 stocks that set an all-time new high, and the percentage of stocks now making new 52-week highs. You can see that's a lot. It's like 29% right there. And you can go back, this goes back to 2014, and you can see those levels right there. And so again, this is something the breadth just keeps expanding out now, because other stocks are starting to go up instead of just the Mag 7. You're also starting to see it in the Russell 2000. Big spike up on new 52-week highs on this one. Look at that right there, about 14%. And so, you can go back and look, see how many times this has happened. But again, that's just people piling into these stocks, especially the Russell 2000, just because these stocks have just been hammered. I mean, crashed and burned, for crying out loud. Now, we're getting overextended. And normally in a normal market, you say, yes, this is more of a, I don't know what you want to call it, a blow-off top, melt-up, whatever you want to call it. But, you see, I got two fear and greed indexes I put in the morning news brief. One measures how many, which is the top one, are in a uptrend. So now you got 80% of stocks in the uptrend, right? And then the CNN ones got a whole bunch of different metrics, and both of them are in extreme greed now. That don't mean they're gonna come down immediately as far as the stocks. These can stay when you're on a rally like this up there for a while and just kind of bounce back and forth. And you can see stocks above the 200 moving average. I mean, the NASDAQ 100 has been high for a while now, but the S&P 500 is actually caught up. It's at 72% above their 200 moving average. And the Russell's the shocking one. It's now at 60%. This thing was like I don't know, 20% not very long ago, right? And the VIX is still being subdued right now. And so when you're on a melt up or a move up like this, where shorts are covering and reallocation is happening and window dressing and stuff, they can stay in extreme greed for a little bit. So just kind of keep that in mind. especially coming into more or less bullish time of year here. Now, HYG, if smart money's still buying in, it's been red the last couple of days, just slightly red, right? Nothing major right there, as you can see. We do go to the 4 hour, and you look at that and say, that looks like bearish divergence to me on the 4 hour. I mean, here you're getting really big higher highs here, and then on the bottom down here, it looks like lower highs to me. So, but that takes a minute to play out. So just keep in mind, this week, it's hard to say. I mean, you would expect just more of a trading sideways, not too big of movements, but look how we started out today, right? And so, again, when you're in this kind of market, because you're trying to get prepped for this Santa write-off that's going to happen, which is usually the last 4 to 5 days of December, and then the first 2 days of January, and then the middle of January to usually end of February, which I'm researching now, you tend to get some pullbacks. Now, before we continue, please hit that thumbs up down the bottom. It really helps people find the video and stuff. And if you like this kind of content, please think about subscribing. My goal in 2024 is going to be 100,000 subscribers finally. And so I appreciate all your support, guys. Now, when we look, you can see the Mag 7. This is the Mag 9 for me because I put in AMD and Netflix. You know, a little mixed. I mean, you got Google breaking out, Meta, Netflix absolutely crushing it. Amazon finally breaking out. We're going to go into those charts in just a second, Google and Amazon. NVIDIA, we're going that chart as well. Big move today. And then Tesla finally sold down after a big move. We're going to go in that chart as well. But you can see IWM, the only thing I'm going to say about it is that 198 right there is a beast for it, right? Right around that area. Again, it's like a triple top for it right here, okay? Now, what I'm hoping, again, is we come down, hit that trend line, and then bounce, right? Mitigated gap, mitigated fair value gap, stuff like that. That would be what I'd like to see if you're looking for a more longer-term move here. But again, when you kind of scroll out on this thing, you can see it's still in this range it's been trading in for what feels like forever. It's actually almost 2 years. It's been in this range. And that's how IWM trades, okay? Again, still down almost, 19% from the all-time highs when all these other indexes are basically setting all-time highs or setting like a 1% below it. S&P's only like, 1%, I believe, away. The Q's end up already setting one. The Dow set new all-time highs. And so, you know, again, when we scroll back, you can see what I'm talking about. There's forever, a year of setting that range right there before it sold off. Another one, almost 8 months before it sold off. Another one where you see it consolidating for about half a year and then finally exploding upwards right there. And so this is how the IWM is. It still has to break out of this range. It's just been a big move off the bottom, right? And when we look over here, you can see by this chart what we're talking about as far as being the laggard and stuff. You can see the S&P right there, 500 index. That's the dark line. Russell's right below it. And then you see, of course, the NASDAQ stock exchange with the FANG up there. I mean, just unbelievable, right? Just absolutely unbelievable. So that's not a surprise. You see a lot of money rotating into the IWM, even though its earnings, I mean, you don't expect the earnings to be great at all. But again, the market loves to rotate into things that are lagging, which is why you're seeing biotech and other things also move up. Fintech's another one, right? You've seen that over the last like 4 to 5 weeks. Now, Tesla, of course, what happened to Tesla? You can see when it topped out there, all it did, right here, guys, that's why these are powerful. All it did was mitigate a fair value gap right there. As you can see, I was thinking it was going to get the one right above it, but it did not. So it stopped with that one for right now and then sold down the rest of the day. As you can see, broke through the November high, which could turn into resistance here. As you can see, if we go to a shorter term time frame on the 15-minute, again, there's a volume gap it could fall into. It's setting at support right now. If it does, you know, could go down to 245-ish, somewhere there, 244. And that would lead it down to that trend line right there, which should become support, you would think. And plus, you can see the volume picks up right there as well. But again, a lot of profit taking because, I mean, this has been an enormous move up right here. There's no ifs, ands, buts about that very quickly. Like I said, once the news, they started pulling that scam where they're trying to sell it off with the news and stuff, that's where it popped, and big money just trying to get in at a cheaper rate. But, you know, and a 14% move in 4 days for a mega cap, that's a lot, right? 4 days. So getting a breather, we'll see if that continues down or not. Now, Rivian, which of course, kind of it did the opposite, right? It was about 5% a day. But this is another one of those plays. If you can't afford Tesla, Rivian usually is the way to go. I've showed you the chart before. Big move for it. Still moving up right here. You can see 25, 48-ish, somewhere in there is going to be a beast for it to get through. But that's going to be its really next resistance. So we'll put a line right there. But it's just shredded through this volume gap. like a hot knife through butter, right? And so actually, I got 25.59, I believe, right there. Will be this next one in above that, probably around 27.71. And so we'll see if this will continue to move. But you know, I mean, you're seeing a sell down, trying to mitigate some of these fair value gaps and everything else, and just regular RTH gaps that's left in its wake would be smart as well. Now, SoFi is another one up again today. This one's been moving after it broke that trend line right there, and that trend line basically comes back from 2021, as you see come down. I mean, this is a mess of a chart. Just look at that chart. That's a hot mess and just a crash and burn right there, like all these fintechs have been. But you can see, and again, because of the way it moves, it's gonna start getting to where there's not a lot of resistance because how fast it came down, and it's trying to build out a stage 2. It's above the 30-week moving average right now. Broke above that trend line. You can see it's kind of getting a somewhat of a volume gap right there. So, you know, if it can keep moving up here, you're looking probably around $10.73 and then $12.60. Is that right? To be the next 2 resistances and stuff. And so we'll see if it can continue the momentum or not. I know the CEO was buying, and usually it does go up after he buys. Kind of amazing to see that every time. You know, LendingClub's another one. Again, these aren't based on fundamentals or anything. These are just strictly the charts. Huge move up for this one. And LendingClub, Upstart, and I forgot the other one. They usually have these low floats and stuff, and that's why they move so fast. But you can see with this one, again, trend line right here, rejected multiple times. And so it's finally, hopefully, going to start breaking above it. If it does, you know, you can see 10.95 in the cards for it. If it gets in that volume gap up to around like 12.75. And these are just very quick movers. A lot of them too are heavily shorted stocks, and so that's why shorts have to start covering like crazy. All of them are overbought like crazy right now. You see Upstart, it got rejected. That's where it had to hold up its rally right here, which is 139% in a very short amount of time. There's another fast flyer right here. But there's a trend line right there. It got its third touch and rejection. That's how it usually works right there. But when we look at it, you know, again, another one crashed and burned right there. And if it can get above that trend line right there, you know, you can see this move up to 73 somewhere in there. And again, just because why? There's a gap. There's a gap. It's just not a lot of resistance there for it. Okay. And again, these are heavily shorted, more lower floats than what you see in a lot of them. Like SoFi has a huge one because it's a SPAC, SPAC, right? So a lot of shares outstanding when it comes to that one. That's why it moves much, much slower. Okay. Now, you can see Upstart as well. When you have this huge move down, that huge liquidity grab just crash down, those fair value gaps when you're moving up, those fair value gaps when you're moving up fill quickly. And that's what you've seen happening so far. And I don't know if you remember this guy, but this was funny. This was back when Upstart was literally almost at its all-time high when this guy came on a big network and said this about Upstart right here.
Yeah, so well, Upstart's up about 25% just in 4 days since we bought it. We bought it on about 4 days ago. So that's actually made a nice little move in the short term, probably a little extended right now, but longer term, that's a good looking name. Very powerful, very strong earnings. These stocks are acting
What do they do?
really
I don't even know them. What do they do?
Excuse me?
What does Upstart do?
Well, I'm sorry.
What kind of company is it?
Yeah, I'm not. You're breaking up.
Oh.
And I put it on there just for a laugh because if you see, they actually bought right there at the top, and then it just crashed and burned. They either bought it right there on the way up or they were buying it on the way down. I couldn't tell the date on that, but you can see, obviously, it crashed and burned 97%. So hopefully they got out before that right there. But it was just funny to hear, oh, I can't hear you. What do they do? Because most people don't have a clue what some of these fintechs do. And you know, that's just the way it is. But they're great to trade, right? And so that's why people do it. And I'd respect people more if they just say that. Now, earnings, FedEx, the only one I see tomorrow. Remember, transportation has been on fire. And then there is no economic data that should affect the markets, right? You have some housing data come out, but I don't see anything on here that should move markets in any direction. Remember, this is a very light economic data week. We'll have some job data, that kind of stuff, but nothing major, a 20-year bond auction, stuff like that, but nothing major. So let me know down in the comments how you think the rest of the week is actually going to go. I do believe, I have to look this up, and I'll update you guys tomorrow. I think the expiration is Wednesday. I could be wrong on that. And that's using an event, but I'll go ahead and double check. We were talking about that today, or somebody was talking about it in the Discord. So I need to go double check that one and verify for tomorrow, because that can usually free the markets up to actually move. Because right now, I mean, the VIX it's down there, right? It's not really doing anything. So again, we'll have to see on that. So anyway, hope you got something out of it. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you did, right down there below. And I hope you have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow.